Following Raeesah Khan's resignation as Workers' Party MP for Sengkang GRC last night, the Clerk of Parliament issued a statement this morning saying the Committee of Privileges looking into the complaint against the former MP for lying in Parliament will continue with its work and present its report to Parliament in due course. In Ms. Khan's letter of resignation, she reiterated her apology to the House, to the people of Sengkang and to her volunteers, and said she would be spending more time with her family and on causes she is passionate about. In an announcement last night about Ms. Khan's resignation, the Workers' Party said its top leadership had met to deliberate and decide on the recommendation of a disciplinary committee that had been formed to investigate her admissions in Parliament. The party added it will hold a press conference tomorrow to provide more information on the matter and to share its plans to ensure that Sengkang residents, particularly in Ms. Khan's Compassville ward, continue to be cared for and represented. Let's discuss this further with the Straits Times' senior political correspondent, Tham Yuen-C. Welcome to the show, Yuen-C. Yuen-C, with Ms. Khan's resignation, Sengkang GRC will now have 3 MPs, Ms. He Ting Ru, Associate Professor James Lim, and Mr. Louis Chua. Is it necessary to hold a by-election, or can the GRC continue to operate with a 3-person team?
Well, Arietta, legally there's no need to call a by-election when an MP in a GRC steps down. The Court of Appeal has ruled on this in the past after Madam Halimah Yacob resigned as MP to stand for the presidential election in 2017. A challenge was actually brought for by-election to be called in Marsiling UT GRC. And the court then ruled that, the Constitution does not impose a duty on the Prime Minister to call a by-election when one vacancy arises in a GRC. So a by-election is needed only if all the MPs for the GRC resigned. As to whether they can function as a 3-person team, there's nothing prohibiting them from doing that. The question is whether 3 MPs will be able to handle the workload because, as you know, they have to attend Parliament, they have to handle town council matters, and they also need to hold regular Meet the People sessions. But the Workers' Party can always get someone else to stand in and help with the constituency work, like what the People's Action Party did in Marsiling UT. So after Madam Halimah left, Mr. Zaki Mohamad took over as the grassroots advisor in her ward, and he was at that time the MP for the neighbouring Choa Chu Kang GRC. It sounds like the Workers' Party might have plans to do something similar because when they announced Ms. Khan's resignation last night, they did say in the statement that, they will ensure that Sengkang residents, particularly in the Compassville ward, continue to be cared for and represented. So they can always tap on their former MPs or NCMPs or even maybe get another MP to double hat.
And even with no need to hold a by-election, Yuen-C, what about the Elections Department's stipulation that at least one of the MPs in a GRC must belong to a minority racial community?
So in some ways, there are parallels between what is happening in Sengkang GRC now and what happened in Marsiling UT, right? Since Madam Halimah was the only minority member in her GRC at that time, and Ms. Khan is the only minority member in Sengkang now. But I think the idea is that you don't want a system where a minority member or any member for that matter can trigger a by-election in a GRC by just quitting. That's what the courts deduced from what was said in Parliament when the GRC system was first introduced. So the same applies. I mean, there's no requirement to call a by-election.
And you've also spoken to some political analysts and observers on this matter. Yuen-C, what is their take on Ms. Khan's resignation and its repercussions on the Workers' Party?
Yes, we did speak to some analysts and they mostly felt it was right for Ms. Khan to take responsibility for what she did by resigning. As for the party, I think people will probably see this as a signal that the Workers' Party expects certain standards of its MPs and they will not tolerate any lack of integrity. So in a way, it might give them more moral authority to call out others in future. But of course, I think people are now waiting to hear from the party leaders themselves to find out more about how much they knew and when they knew what they knew. Also, the party had its own disciplinary panel, and I'm sure people are very interested to find out what the panel found and what its decision was. So the WP will be holding a press conference tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to hear directly from them.
Tham Yuen-C, ST's senior political correspondent there. Thank you so much. Get more developments on this story on straitstimes.com.